Ice cores reveal huge volcanic eruptions bigger than anything in the last 2,500 years. Scientists studying ice cores packed in some 60,000 years of history have found signs of thousands of volcanic eruptions across that time, and they were stretching back to the last ice age, with 25 of the eruptions larger than anything Earth has seen in the last 2,500 years. Researchers excavated the cores near both poles, in Antarctica, where 737 eruptions were logged, and Greenland, where 1,113 eruptions were found. A total of 85 eruptions were large enough to leave evidence behind at both the poles. The evidence takes the form of sulfuric acid deposits left behind by the eruptions. It gives researchers clues as to just how large and impactful particular volcanoes have been. Physicist Anders Svensson from University of Copenhagen in Denmark says, to reconstruct ancient volcanic eruptions, ice cores offer a few advantages over other methods. Whenever a really large eruption occurs, sulfuric acid is ejected into the upper atmosphere, which is then distributed globally, including onto Greenland and Antarctica. We can estimate the size of an eruption by looking at the amount of sulfuric acid that has fallen, he said. And using the Volcanic Explosivity Index, the VEI, which ranges from 1 to a high of 8, the team found 69 volcanic eruptions that exceeded the 1815 Tambora eruption of VEI-7, an event that was enough to block out sunlight and initiate a period of global cooling. Those 69 eruptions include the one in Lake Taupo, New Zealand, some 26,500 years ago, VEI-8, that was a super eruption, and one in Toba, Indonesia, around 74,000 years ago, again a VEI-8. In comparison, the 2010 Eyjafjallajökull Iceland eruption scored 4 on the VEI scale, while the 2011-12 Paihu Cordon coal eruption in Chile reached VEI-5. VEI-7 eruptions happen around once or twice every 1,000 years, so we might not have much of a wait until the next one. As for the next VEI-8 eruption, it could be in 100 years or a few thousand years, according to the researchers. So that's not a very long time span. Hundreds in 100 years or a few thousand years. VEI-8, that's terrible. Now the eruptions logged in the ice cores could have been much bigger in every sense than the ones in living memory and more catastrophic in terms of their impact on the planet. The research fills in some of the blanks in Earth's volcanic record, a record that before now has been a bit fuzzy beyond 2,500 years ago. The new 60,000-year timeline of volcanic eruptions supplies us with better statistics than ever before, says Svensson. Now he says we can see that many more of these great eruptions occurred during the prehistoric ice age than in modern times. Because large eruptions are relatively rare, a long timeline is needed to know when they occur. That is what we now have, he says. The researchers built on previous work, synchronizing timescales across ice cores taken from different poles, enabling them to more accurately identify the eruptions that had significant effects on both Antarctica and Greenland. The research is more than just a history lesson. Ice cores also capture temperatures before and after eruptions, giving us a window into their effect on the global climate. The biggest events can cause cooling for 5 to 10 years after the actual eruption. And knowing how sensitive Earth's climate is to major events like those documented in the ice cores can inform future climate models, whether these models are looking at the next volcanic eruption or the ongoing impact of rising carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere. Svensson says, ice cores contain information about temperatures before and after the eruption, which allow us to calculate the effect on climate. He says, as large eruptions tell us a lot about how sensitive our planet is to changes in the climate system, they can be useful for climate predictions. This has been published in Climate of the Past. It's on Science Alert by David Neal. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.